welcome to FBA Profits. My name is Leland.
My name is Zubi.
Thanks for joining us. There's lots of options out there for learning about fulfillment by Amazon and business stuff in general. There's tons of material, so we're really glad you're here. And today we're going to try to jazz up the differences between return on investment, the acronym known as ROI, and net profit, net margin, or just profits usually is how we hear it. But before we launch into like the mechanics of what these two statistics mean and how to get them, maybe we should talk about like within the FBA world, why are we even bothering with these things?
Yeah. So ROI is more of a function of an investment, and that what it means is how much for the money that you have invested, what kind of money have you made back on it? What your return has been, and in Amazon, it being an inventory based business, it's important to gauge your sourcing products strategy on ROI, because if you have a specific ROI set on a specific product and that's your minimum ROI and you can achieve that or higher, the net profit margins, and we'll discuss this more in detail in a little bit, but the net margins are going to play themselves out. There's a very distinct difference between ROI and net margins in any context that you're looking at them on. But for an Amazon business in particular, it's extremely important to understand ROI, because when you're sourcing, when you're deciding which product to purchase, it's the ROI number that you're looking at, and that ROI number is going to be if you are receiving leads lists from anywhere, you're going to see that ROI. Hey, this item is on this list for you to buy because the buy cost is this much. It's selling on Amazon at this price, and this is the ROI. I know with our leads list, we get a lot of questions from our subscribers as to, hey, the ROI that's on your leads list is different from the ROI that I'm getting from my software that I use to calculate ROI. Why is that? And we want to sort of clarify that today as part of this discussion.
And to be fair, I mean, this is like on those leads lists, you're going to see both numbers there. And some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. And I think it's important to understand, why those two numbers are on there and really how they're used in business in general. So do we want to walk through the mechanics now of,
Yeah,
net profit?
I think it's important just to sort of touch base first on the difference, since I brought up the leads list.
Well, before you do difference, I'm gonna interrupt
Okay.
you. Let's just start with some basic mechanics of this, of what the two things we're talking about, and then we can get into esoteric. Let's load it up, and maybe some people will tune out for a minute because they already know the mechanics of this. But
All right.
let's do net profit first, and let's just use some whole numbers. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say we have a sell cost. We're selling them. It's $100. We got a product. We're selling it for $100 right now. Amazon's going to take 15% of that for the privilege of, being our provider on the FBA. And I bought it for $20. So $20 to my costs to buy it, $15 for Amazon to go out the door. I'm going to be left with $67, or my net profit, my net margin, my profit's going to be 65%. That would be awesome. That's a great number, by the way. But it would be 65%, which is very different than my ROI, because my ROI is just going to be my profit divided by my cost. So my cost was $20, but I made 65 on it. So as a percentage, it's 325%, which is, again, a really fantastic return. But the difference is one's including all of my expenses versus just what my investment of the goods were versus what I made on it. So there's a big distinction between the two, and you can see how those percentages could be misleading or might be, one's very bigger than the other. Of course, using whole numbers, that's where we end up with. And also, I think it's important to remember there's plus and minuses to each one of these. And I think personally, to me, they work in unison. To take
Yeah.
any one by itself in this business, there's other businesses that maybe you just focus on profit. They're really like service business. It's really hard to start figuring out ROI, but we're dealing with tangibles. There's real products that we're buying, and there's real investment in that product and that inventory. So to me, I think there's a meshing of these two, numbers. So you said there's different calculations. People are getting different ones. It'd be interesting to see where one of those different numbers came up from. But that's before you started going. I knew where you were going. I just wanted to take a moment. Let's just talk about the mechanics of those two. One has the expenses cooked in. What did I make? It's very much the cash flow, right? Profits are your cash coming back. ROI is really the health of the investment that you made, whatever capital you expended. How did it come back to you? What was the health of it coming back? So, yeah,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you
Yeah.
on it, but I
So
wanted to get that mechanics out of the way.
couple of things on what you just said. First of all, anybody that's listening or watching this video, 15%, Amazon taking 50% of the sales is a pipe dream. It never happens.
Purely hypothetical.
Yes, it's purely hypothetical. Amazon takes 30 to 50% of our sales normally. So this was just a example. This is not something that you should expect. But unless you're doing merchant fulfillment, this is FBA.
Yeah.
But the ROI calculation, and from my perspective, when I talk about the difference between ROI and net margins, I am purely looking at percentages and not dollar amounts, because ROI includes net profit in its calculation. Net margins includes net profit in its calculations. And this might be a little bit too granular, but it's, for me, it's looking at those percentages that tells me how well my business has done over the last whatever period I'm looking at it, and comparing this percentage for this period versus that the same percentage, or the percentage for the same thing on last period, is how I know whether I've grown and I've done something better or I've stalled on it. So if my ROI, my average ROI on my sales for the last year has been 30%, then my goal, and the following year my ROI becomes 32%, I've done great. The actual numbers are very different for me when it comes to, hey, dollar profit, dollar sales, but I'm looking to grow every single aspect of it. So I want to grow my sales, but at the same time, as I grow my sales, I want to grow my ROI. As I grow my ROI, my net profit my net margins should grow with it. If it doesn't, then I have just incurred extra expenses that I didn't have previously, and that tells me, hey, you got to focus on that. So with that said, let's talk about those items that go into why an ROI calculation from a leads list is different from an ROI calculation that you do when you're deciding if you should source that item from the leads list. A leads list, specifically ours, but most of the other ones out there, they take the buy cost, they add all the Amazon fees for that item to it, then they subtract that total from the current Amazon buy box price. And whatever that dollar amount is, they divide that into your cost basis, and that's how you get your ROI. So you could have something with 100% ROI on it based on that. But when you are doing your sourcing, there are other costs that you have to take into effect on that, because there could be shipping costs from where you're purchasing it from to where you're shipping it to. That needs to get added as your cost. There could be tax that you're paying. That needs to get added to your cost. You have to estimate a shipping fee from where you're shipping it from to where Amazon's getting it, right? Usually we recommend 30 cents per pound. Some people recommend 50 cents per pound. Whatever that might be, you have to estimate that price. So when you add those additional costs into it, then and I forgot about another important part, the prep and pack fee, right? If you're hiring a prep and pack service to do the work for you, you have to add that to your cost. And so when you're adding all of those costs together, the leads list said 100% ROI, but with all of those costs, now your ROI is only 30% or 50%.
Mhm.
That's why there's that difference on it, because your cost basis goes up as you outsource more and more stuff to different services to do it for you, and for tax reasons and shipping reasons. So that's where the difference comes in between a leads list and research.
And I think it benefits the leads list to put it the most pure way, because you don't know other people's circumstances, but then also it's a higher number, so it makes it jazzier. But underlying, you don't know who's going to do prep and pack, or who's what their taxes are. Different states have different tax. You don't know what this, or are they going to pick it up in person? So I think from a leads list perspective, it's the most purest form
Yeah.
without any of the minutia, and certainly they're not going to know whatever your overhead is to get any true profit amounts either. So
Right.
it's a
Yeah,
clean number.
and leads lists, there's no way for them to really put all of those costs
No,
in there, right? And
no.
and that's why most leads lists, all leads lists have a minimum ROI, that whatever product that they put on there has a minimum ROI. Like for ours
Mhm.
is 30%. Our average on a regular day, on a regular basis, is way above that,
Oh,
right? But that's so that there is that cushion for all these additional costs that could pop in there. It also matters what the sell price is on that,
mhm.
and the buy price is on that, right? So if you're buying something for $3 and you're paying somebody $1.50 to do prep and pack for you, well, that's 40-50% of that cost. That really impacts the
Oh
ROI.
yeah.
Whereas if you're buying something for $100 and you're paying somebody $1.50 to do it, that's inconsequential. So all of those things matter when you're calculating your ROI.
And this is more conversational, but with leads list too, my experience in looking at them, using them, things change from time to time. The buy box is changing. Sometimes there's a deal. If I buy two, I'm gonna save a few more dollars, or it can even go up, right? The cost can be creeping up very slowly, but it's still a good deal. These are things to remember too when you're computing after the fact. Is if you're looking at the leads list and your example, hey, it showed 100%, but when net my ROI ends up being this 45%. Were there other factors that happened in the process? Did the price go up? Did the price go down? Did your sell price go up? Did your sell price go down? All of these things have an impact to that final percentage, and it's important to remember that. And I just want to take think about it this way too, with these two numbers, is it's indicating where you're going and the health of what you're doing. So if you're pouring in a bunch of capital into your business to grow it, you're going to be focused on the ROI because you're looking for the return on what you're putting in. But if you're just generally looking on like cash flow, health of your business, maybe that's the measurement. And we business school taught us, what was the lesson? Increase profits. It wasn't increasing sales. It wasn't, it was always increasing profits. So if that's what you're focused in on, understand what that you're measuring the cash afterwards. And if there's changes to it, it's increasing, it's decreasing, that describes some type of health. But together, these both, like you eloquently said earlier at the top of this, it allows you then to do the research on to fine tune or state of the emergency. Something's really drastically changed. I need to dive in. Why? Is it an expense? Is it a cost? Is it a sell?
Absolutely. Yeah. And cash flow is extremely important for any business. Without cash, cash is king and pretty much everything.
Now,
And you need
especially
to have
new.
cash
If
flow.
you're new and you're small,
Absolutely.
life or death.
So you could have a goal of 50% ROI, or as one of our students the other day told me, his goal is 90% ROI.
Love that
That's a
guy.
great goal, right? That's a great goal to have. But you have to understand that with that goal and a limit on your investable capital that you're purchasing inventory from, your cash flow is going to be very minimal. Your
Mhm.
sales are not going to be that much, because you're going to wait until all the other sellers that are selling for 80% ROI, 70%, 60%, 50%, all of them run out, and before they replenish, right? You want to find
Mhm.
those products are far and few and far between. So it takes a lot longer for you to get sales. Whereas if you have a 30% ROI as your average goal, then you can go ahead and on those wholesale accounts that are replenishable, you can drop your ROI, your price to an ROI of 20%. And on the OA things that are really good, but you're getting them at sale prices and you can't really replenish them, increase that ROI to 150% and wait for it to sell, because you're not going to be able to get that product again. It's going to hit your price. So might as well wait. So there's a business strategy involved by knowing what your ROI number is and what your goal is, whether it's cash flow, whether it's bottom line, whatever it might be. You adjust your pricing, you adjust your business strategy once you have these numbers in front of you.
Agreed. And we're really grateful that you've joined us. You maybe watched the end of the video or listened to the end of the podcast, and you can check us out on Facebook. We got a group there, and right now they're deep in an accountability, goal-oriented project, which is beautiful. It's a strong community to join, and then check us out on FBAProfits.us. You're going to say something?
One other thing, yeah. So in our Facebook group, I've been using a spreadsheet that tracks my sales, my ROI, my net margins, as well as my average selling price, ASP, number of orders on a monthly basis. I track it every single month since I've started this business. So I went ahead and I uploaded that spreadsheet on our Facebook group. So it's free to download for anybody who's a member. If you're interested in something like that, where it's an Excel spreadsheet and you can just plug your numbers, and there's formulas in there that will calculate your net margin, they'll calculate all the percentages, it'll calculate your growth or decline month over month, year over year. So it's all, it's free of charge for you over there. If you're interested in it, please join our Facebook group and you can go ahead and download it. And then finally, the concepts, the financial concepts that we talk about for brand new sellers, people who have never had businesses before or who are not really that business savvy and don't like numbers, which there's a lot of people out there that they're not numbers peoples. These could be, Greek to them. Understandably, there's many of the things that we just discussed could have just completely been like, what? It just doesn't make sense. If you're one of those people and you're really interested in learning, reach out to me, reach out to Leland on an individual basis. I will be more than happy to spend time with you on a phone call, on a Zoom call, to review your account and help you better understand your account. Just that's me giving you advice for a few minutes. There's no cost involved. I'm not going to charge you for it. If you choose to become part of our community and our family and start using our services, great. But this is just something that I understand how hard these things could be for someone who's not a numbers people. So if you have questions about it and you want somebody just to take 20, 30 minutes and go through it with you, give us a call, shoot us an email, comment on these recordings, and one of us will definitely reach out to you and sort of help you, point you in the right direction and help you get a better understanding of your numbers.
You and I are very much on the same page. That's exactly where I was going with
nice.
Not going to FBAProfits.us, which is the coaching service that we can provide. Reach out to us, like Zubi said, question here and there, no problem. Check out what we're doing. It's a great way to test us as a coaching platform. Maybe you do know the answer already, but you decide to ask us, hey, I don't understand this. It's a great way to measure the sort of the metal of the coaching platform. And then lastly, you can find us at proasins.com. We were talking about leads lists a moment ago. We do offer a leads list in case you're interested in looking at that. If you join our newsletter, you get a free lead every week with that newsletter. So you can look at profits and ROIs on those and test out the numbers and see what it looks like. Anything else, Duke?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.